All right. For power functions, you want to be able to go back and forth between exponential form, which is what these are in, and radical form, which is what this is in. And we want to be able to do this fluidly. This is going to come up a lot in calculus. So this first one, the whole thing is to the negative 5/3. Let's remember that negative exponents tell you that you're going to be dividing. So it's 1 divided by. And then this thing is to the 5/3. When you have a denominator power, remember that x to the 1 over a is the 8th root of x. It's a root. And in this case, we have a cube root. So it's the cube root of 5x. And then the top part here is what power it's taken to. So it's to the 5th power. This is one way to write it. We could also write it as 1 divided by the cube root of 5x to the 5th with the 5th inside the root. That's okay also. All right, let's look at this one. This is n to the 3 to the 0.25. We need to use our properties of exponents and say that if you have an exponent to an exponent, you multiply. So 3 times 0.25 is 0.75. And then this is, we don't really use decimal exponents. We're going to rewrite this as n to the 3/4 power. We could have also changed it to fractions earlier. And remember, again, we've got the 4th root, because that's in the denominator, of n to the 3rd power. Or you could also write n cubed and the 4th root of that. That's also fine. Make sure your root is inside the little check mark. This means something very different than if you wrote 4 square root of n cubed. This would mean 4 times the square root of n cubed. This means the 4th root of n cubed. 4th root means what times what times what times what gives you n. Square root means what times what gives you n, multiply it by 4. So this is not the same, but either one of these is fine. All right, let's look at this one. This one's a little bit different. This time only the a is to the 8/5. The 4 is outside. And so this is equal to 4 times the a is the thing that's inside the root, and it's the 5th root of a, because that's in the denominator, to the 8th. All right, and let's do one more. Again, we have 5 is not inside the parentheses, getting taken to the power. And so we're going to rewrite this as 5. That stays alone. This is, I'm going to show you a shortcut in just a second, but this is 5 times. This is 7x, and it's the cube root of it squared. And this negative exponent means it's times 1 divided by that. Okay. Now, when you multiply a whole number times a fraction, you put the whole number over 1. And so we just multiply 5 times 1 and 1 times this thing. So we end up with 5 divided by the cube root of 7x squared. Most of the time we'll go straight to here, and we'll think of it as negative exponents moving to the denominator. The 5 does not have a negative exponent, so it does not move to the denominator. Okay, let's do just a couple more in the other direction. This one, we have 5 divided by the cube root of n, 3n to the 5th. Okay, this is going to be a negative exponent because it's dividing, so this is going to be 5 because the 5 is still there, times 3n got taken to a negative power, that's why it's dividing. It's the square root, so in the denominator there's going to be a divided by 2, and it's to the 5th power, so that's still going to be there. So this is 5 times 3n to the negative because it's divided, 5 has power because it's to the 5th power and it's got a square root. Let's see. Let's do, that's enough of those. Let's make sure we can evaluate. You should have already known this from Algebra 2 mastery quizzes, but remember that fraction powers mean roots. So this is the square root of 100, which is 10. This is, the fraction part is a root to the 3rd power. And this is why I usually like putting the power on the outside. We could put it on the inside, but 36 times 36 times 36 is big, whereas if we do the square root of 36 first, that's 6 to the 3rd power, which is 216. That's a lot easier than trying to do 36 to the third power and then taking the square root, even though both get you the same answer. Do one more. 9 to the negative 3/2 power. The negative power tells you it's 1 divided by 9, and because 2 is in the bottom, we're going to be doing a square root. We don't need to put the 2 because it's automatically a 2 if we do a square root cubed. So it's 1 divided by 3 cubed. The square root of 9 is 3. So 1 divided by 27. I apologize for that getting off the screen, but that's it on that one.